yo. Thanks for joining me again here on Learning with Lear. This week I want to talk about what a more effective anti-racism might look like in real life. So if you've followed these or you've been in space with me over the last several months, really about a year plus, I have been pretty vocal and pretty loud about breaking away from privileged discourse, what I call breaking the privilege frame, and moving towards a more effective anti-racism rooted in what I call self-interest. If this is your first time joining me here, thank you for being here. Appreciate you watching the video. Share it, subscribe, all of those things. But let me offer some context. So I believe that our current anti-racism is inherently ineffective, that it will never ever lead to racial justice because we enter by focusing on the privileges that white supremacy and whiteness grant those of us considered white within that purview. And that fundamentally eliminates the space and the room to talk about the harm and the violence that whiteness does to us first. And by us, I mean white people. So throughout history, you can see that in order for folks to be considered white, they have to accept anti-black racism, for example, and the violence of the institution of slavery. They have to accept the genocidal violence of settler colonialism. All of those things are prerequisites to be considered white. And so when we enter into conversations about racial justice, when we frame our anti-racism around the privileges that whiteness confers to white people, we are missing a very, very fundamental piece of the racial justice puzzle, right? So a lot of folks are like, cool, what might that look like? Or how do we sharpen our tool? Or what would it look like to analyze the world through a self-interest frame? And this weekend, I watched American Nightmare on Netflix. Great documentary. I suggest you check it out. But that documentary is all about the failure of the police system, essentially. This middle-class white family, I shouldn't even say white family, it's a boyfriend and girlfriend, and they're out in Mare Island, California. Dude breaks into their home, kidnaps the female in the middle of the night, and nobody believes him, right? Everybody's like, oh, it's the boyfriend. They talked about it being a real-life Gone Girl situation. The police never took seriously that they may have actually been kidnapped. And it turns out that there was a pattern of this behavior happening not in the area, not far, in Northern California. The police didn't bother checking anything like that. But the main thing, so there's pieces there about the way that the police are positioned and what their real role is within white supremacy. Spoiler alert, is to protect property, not people. Abolish 12. But that's not the part I wanna talk about. I want to talk about the dude that actually did it. His name is Matt Moeller. He is a Harvard Law graduate and a former Marine Corps vet. This dude should be the epitome of excellence in America. Harvard Law School, that's the same school that produced Obama, for those of you that don't know. Okay, this dude should be that guy, right? Instead, he is breaking into people's homes, tying up women, and raping them. Like, the farthest thing from excellence, the farthest thing from healed or civilized or any of the adjectives that white supremacists would have you believe about white people, right? And there'll be some of you that are watching this now that are like, yeah, Ryan, you're tripping. This dude is just messed up. He's psychotic. He's sick. All that. He very well might be. As a matter of fact, I'll even say that he is. But those things are never used to describe communities of color or individuals that come from poverty or that come from things, right? We tend to group them together. That's a product of white supremacy and whiteness. But more than that, see, privileged discourse will have us talking about that. Well, how come this dude gets the, mental health moniker and that's sufficient for him, but it's not for people of color who are struggling with certain things or anything like that, right? And we see this often with white men, particularly. Mass shooters are overwhelmingly, like 95+% white men, and all the time it's mental health or guns, right? We're missing the actual fundamental harm and the wound that they are tending to, which is whiteness. And that wound is the disconnect from humanity, the isolation from community that whiteness requires. Okay? It is poison. It erodes our soul. Matt Mueller is an example of that. And he's just one of so many white people who are so sick from the disease of whiteness that they have lost all signs of humanity, right? Look at Andrew Jackson. Look at really all of the historical figures that we point to have committed atrocities in the name of whiteness. So entering into the conversation about racial justice by trying to convince people that whiteness is somehow a privilege or that is somehow something worthy of ascertaining will never get us where we need to go. Instead, we need to ask the question, why was this man and so many other men and women, but it's particularly evident in white men, why are we so hurt and why are we so resistant to healing? That is the work of racial justice. That is the work that we need to engage seriously when we think about anti-racism. If this resonates with you, please share, please like, please subscribe. Thank you for being here. I love you all. Until next week.